Good morning and welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Michaela DeMott, your guest host here in Burton, Kansas, near Hutchinson, with John and Melody McCurry, along with their daughters.
Buckle your gates!
All right.
Stay with us to hear about the history, the future, and the current practices of this ranch, along with John's involvement in the industry. Stay with us and we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Good morning and welcome to That's My Farm. I'm Michaela DeMott, your guest host, and I am here with John McCurry at the McCurry Angus Ranch near Hutchinson, Kansas. So to start off, John, tell me a little bit about the history and the background of the ranch.
McCurry, the family, we've got a long-standing history. My grandpa was actually one of the original 5 McCurry brothers that started raising Angus cattle in 1928, and he himself was a second-generation Angus breeder. And so that makes myself a 4th generation and my daughter's the 5th McCurrys to raise Angus cattle. This particular family operation started in the marriage of my 2 parents in 1977. Both of them were both 3rd generation Angus breeders. My mom grew up in Tennessee. Her dad served on the National Board of Directors from 72 to 78. And with the marriage of them, they started here with a house and 10 acres and kept growing and adding to it over the years.
Wow. So today, what kind of operation do you run here?
We're primarily a seed stock purebred Angus operation. We've got a gentleman that works for us. We have just a few Herefords, be a small percentage of the population. And then we run a couple hundred commercial cows, use them as both recipient cows and just to keep a commercial cow herd base as well, to offset cash flow income.
Perfect. So when did you and your wife take over?
I moved home 12 years ago, graduated Kansas State University in 2004. Didn't really know that this was my passion, but didn't know if it was an opportunity. Come home that fall, worked there at the beef barn that summer after I graduated, come home that fall, and just kept plugging away. We sold anywhere from 35 to 50 commercial bulls at that point in time and move a little over 225 a year now.
So if I'm correct, the ranch used to be called Moran's. Tell me a little bit about that history with that name.
When Mom and Dad were married, they were looking for an identity of their own, and there's a tablet in the office and a desk that it's got all the scribblings of the ideas that they were thinking. At the time, they come up with Moran's. It'd just be dropping the Y off Mary and Andy, and we transitioned that a year after I got home to home of Moran's Angus, McCurry Angus Ranch, and then pretty well now we just go by the identity of McCurry Angus Ranch.
Okay. So you mentioned that you didn't really know this was your passion until later on in life. So what kind of was your childhood like, and when did you kind of decide you?
Well, Angus has always been what I lived and breathed, and it was just a matter of whether you can make it work economically. When growing up here, it was my sister and my parents, and it was a small family operation. As we kind of joke around, it was an overgrown 4-H project that kind of got to the point where you had to do something with it to make it pay, instead of just being a hobby. So, we kept expanding, but when I was a senior in college, I bought 100 commercial cows, put embryos in those females, so that those cows were calving when actually I got home from school. So that kind of catapulted us forward in terms of volume and numbers, taking older cows and propagating those genetics. At the same time, I knew I wanted to do this, but there's a couple leases that come along in terms of sizable acres that also allowed us to expand to make this a full-time operation.
Great, thank you. We will be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Good morning and welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Michaela DeMott, your guest host, and I'm here with John McCurry. And first off, John, what are some of the logistics behind your herd operation?
This is where we're at today is the headquarters where my parents live. They moved here in 1977 as, again, renters on 10 acres. There's not quite 1,000 acres right here around where we're at here today, broke up into little parcels of improved grasses where we both winter cows and put up hay. We have since leased two sizable operations, one in Strong City and one in Fall River. The Strong City location is where houses our fall calving cows there year round. Those cows will actually, it's kind of a unique situation. We give those cows 10 acres to the cow. We go to grass with those fall-born calves and don't wean until they're 10 months of age to utilize both the grass and the milk performance. And I think it also does a better job of developing our bulls into a hardier environment. I think those bulls, it keeps them out of a feeding environment, keeps them crawling on the rocks and in large acre situations. The Fall River location is strictly a spring calving outfit. We go 7 acres to the cow there, but it's just a 6-month lease, just summer grazing. We bring those cows back here to crop residue or wheat pasture, cover crops in the fall. We do have some grass here, obviously not near the scale, just north of us in the Sandhills here around Burton. We're in the 6 and 7 acre stocking rate on those cows. Again, just a 6-month grazing period.
Great. What are some of the technologies you've incorporated here?
We've tried to grasp as many technologies, just trying to stay on the forefront. Obviously, extensive AI, embryo work, but more recently, the last 4 years have done 50K data through Zoetis and through the American Angus Association. So at this point in time, throughout the last year, we have DNA'd every cow that we have in our possession. So the bulls that sold in this year's bull sale were 2 generations of Zoetis 50K.
So kind of to go off of that bull sale, tell me a little bit about that.
Our bull sale is the second Thursday in March, and this was our 5th one. We've been selling bulls for private treaty for 35 years previously, but moved to a live auction just more or less efficiency for multiple different reasons, and it was good. We had fed 400 people, had an unbelievable crowd, almost doubled our buyers in terms of volume of buyers this last year. The female market was strong. It was a very good sale.
Perfect. What environment do you sell your bulls in at your bull sale?
Well, not knowing whether the bull sale, when we launched it, was going to be a success or not, we just used a machine shed and went with the video auction. We sell our bulls by sire group, and in those sire groups are both spring and fall-born bulls, so it was going to be an undertaking, to say the least, to get bulls in and out of a ring, keeping them separate and then getting them pinned back. So we chose the video auction. So we actually sell the bulls off of TV and use Superior Livestock, Superior Productions as our internet bidding base. You can either call in or click to bid. It's been very well received. It takes minimal labor. Guys can go look at bulls throughout the sale and know where they're going to be pinned at instead of trying to find them out back.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
Tarwater Farm and Home has been family owned and operated since its beginning in 1978. What you need for farm and agriculture, lawn and garden, clothing and footwear, and so much more. You'll be surprised at what you'll find in this huge store. They have what you need and lots of it. So come take a look. you'll discover that customer service is first and foremost. Always has been with the Tarwaters. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Good morning and welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Michaela DeMott, your guest host, and I'm here with John McCurry, the McCurry Angus Ranch. So tell me some practices that you do here on the ranch to remain sustainable.
We try to grow, forage year-round. That was a practice that was instilled by my father through my grandfather. So we plant in the fall in dormant crops such as crabgrass or Bermuda. We plant no-till rye, and then in places where we might have wintered cows, to this point we'll plant oats so that those cows, we try to keep cattle grazing as many days as possible. As you can see behind us here, we have our 2-year-old pears kicked out on triticale, a cover crop. They'll stay here till we go to summer grass. Not only does it cut down on our feeding time, our feeding, the need for hay and to put up hay in the summer and feed in the winter, but it's just better nutritionally for these cattle as well.
What are some other parts of the ranch that kind of bring it all together?
We've taken on, we do hay, and I guess it started out as our own. We do some custom work, kind of growing into more for neighbors. Do a lot of hay on shares. That allows us to access more acres, so we don't have to use our acres for hay production necessarily. We can go use our machinery and put up hay on shares with neighbors or other ranchers. Other tools we use on a daily basis would be, we do have a little string of horses. We're raising a few colts now. Use those, it just makes everything easier. Seems like cattle respect horses extremely well. And it's just a tradition. It's part of the tradition too, is cattle and horses go hand in hand.
Perfect. Are there any other practices here on the ranch that you do to kind of keep up with the trends and the times?
We try anyway, yes. We're just one unique, maybe it's a little out of scope, would be we've been using chicken litter as our fertilizer. We have to haul it in about an hour and a half, but it keeps us from having to buy commercial fertilizer, and it offers a lot in terms of nutrient and trace minerals. So that's something that's probably as unique to us as anybody in this particular area anyway. So it's putting chicken litter, and we're trying to do it on an annual basis. We're not necessarily setting in cow-calf country here where we're at as well. So we've taken marginal or below average ground, put it back to soils that it complements, or grasses that complement the soils, the tougher soils, whether it be sand or alkali, and try to graze that ground instead of farm below average or marginal ground that doesn't pay. This is Jose tall wheatgrass. This clump right here, where this particular farm sits, is terrible soil. A lot of oil field damage previous from the 80s or 70s even. So this is high alkali ground. It's virtually white if it wasn't growing grass. And Jose tall wheatgrass thrives on alkali grass. This used to be a brome field, but the drought pretty well wiped it out from 2011 through last summer when we got a little reprieve. You can tell by the pond here behind us that it's normally bank full, that there's not much stockpiled water. The Bermuda and crabgrass used to be two grasses that a lot of people fought, and they're great forage. Why fight them? Just join them and let them. So we've started managing those two grasses through no-till of both rye and oats, and so I guess predominantly this farm's turning over to more Bermuda and crabgrass. We try to spray. When we fertilize it in the summer, we'll put a dash of Grazon in there to control broadleafs and thistles and any tree saplings that might be coming on as well.
Awesome, great. Thank you. We will be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Good morning and welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm Michaela DeMott, your guest host, and I'm here with John McCurry at the McCurry Angus Ranch. John, how have you seen the ranch evolve over the years since you were a kid?
Like I said earlier in one of the earlier segments, it was more of an overgrown 4-H project. Sister and I, parents each bought us a cow when we were infants. They just naturally progress and you get more of them. In 1994, I believe it was, we sold every animal that was AI sired to an operation. So it was kind of almost like starting over again. There was only 70 cows here through that rebuild, and purebred cows when I got home in 2004, and there's over 700 here now. So, and haven't bought any females to speak of to add to that. It's just through natural selection and reproduction, ET work, that we've been able to add to the numbers.
And I understand that you've won some awards. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, this last year has been pretty unique. The family was selected as Seed Stock Producer of the Year through the Beef Improvement Federation. That symposium will actually be in Manhattan, Kansas this June. My mom and dad were also the Kansas Angus Association honorary member of 2016. So it's been pretty neat and pretty humbling to have those two awards last year.
Awesome. So since over the years, since it's evolved, what are some trends and fads you've seen?
Yeah, through all livestock businesses and industries, there's always fads and trends. A lot of them aren't good. It's something to market cattle on. It's something that hang your hat on for a little bit. Our philosophy for generations, and this was instilled in me by both my grandparents, was stay in the middle. Breed good cattle that are sound, good looking, plenty of muscle, maternal characteristics, because the pendulum swings through the center twice as often as it does from end to end. So that's always been our breeding philosophy, is stay in the middle, use sound practices when we're selecting our AI sires, and we try to do diligent work in terms of our AI sire selection. We try to use very highly proven bulls. This last year's bull sale would have had Keneally Thunder, Keneally Confidence, SAV Bismarck, SAV Brilliance, SAV Resource would have been, just to name a few of the biggest sire groups we had to offer.
What's your involvement in the industry? Throughout
the industry, I just try to be involved and give back. I was on the National Junior Angus Association Board of Directors. I've been a member of the American Angus Association my whole life. Try to be an active member through our national conference in the fall. Serve on the Harvey County Farm Bureau, where most of our grass is around home here, even though we live in Reno County. I'm the Reno County Chairman of the Kansas Livestock Association, trying to be very active in that organization. They do a great job, both organizations, of lobbying for agricultural interests. So I encourage any of the viewers, if we want to be active and give back to agriculture, to dive into those two organizations.
And talk a little bit more about the American Angus Association and how they help you.
The American Angus Association has just been a staple all along. We've got a regional manager. He lives in Stillwater, Oklahoma, that takes care of part of Kansas. But any information we need, they've got an unbelievable staff and helpful. Probably the biggest asset that we have is an online service where we can do all our paperwork and registrations and everything through the website online.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
To see this.
This is Eric Stonestreet, and as many of you know, I love my home state of Kansas. In March, Kansas ranchers lost homes, equipment, and thousands of cattle from the largest wildfires in the state's history. Imagine losing all you have in a fire. Not just your house, but your livelihood. Ranchers are beginning to rebuild, but it will take years and tens of millions of dollars to build back herds, fences, and other infrastructure. Today, I'm asking you to help. Donate what you can and show your support to the ranchers of Kansas. Simply go to kansasfires.com. Your donation is tax deductible and will go to those who need it the most.
I had this horse. It was a good horse, except for when the wind was blowing above 30 miles an hour. Wind was blowing about 35, 40, and I saddled him up, rode him out to the end of the lane, and I thought, well, he's doing pretty good. And about 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulders sure hurt. I kept waiting, and it didn't get better, and so I went to orthopedic surgeon, and that showed that I had torn rotator cuff. And he said, well, we'll have to do surgery. I thought, I farm and ranch by myself. This is not going to work out very well. I'd been sleeping in my recliner for about 2.5 years because it hurt too much to sleep in bed on my side. And I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio and gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over. They just took some fat out of my side here and spun that down for about 45 minutes and then injected it in my shoulders, and I was on my way. It's something you don't hear about, but I thought it was worth a try, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
That's My Farm is brought to you in part by Tallgrass Commodities. Big enough to serve, small enough to care.
Good morning and welcome back to That's My Farm. I'm here with John McCurry and his daughter Aubrey. First off, John, what do you see the future of this ranch looking like?
All we can do is just keep plugging along. We'll take expansion opportunities as they come available if the approach looks right and sound business decision. We've got an awful lot of cows here, and probably labor is the restriction, and probably industry-wide that's the case. But just keep doing what we're doing. The girls are obviously going to take some involvement. They are involved, but need to make sure to give them some time too here.
Buckle your gate!
All right.
Everyone!
So. And how are your daughters involved?
Aubrey, we bought each of the girls a cow when they were infants, just like my parents did for myself. Aubrey's got 2 cows, and actually both of them had bulls in the bull sale here. So trying to put away some money for her for college down the road. She's probably got her grandma's skill of animal health already, and just a little bit of my numerical, good with numbers in terms of animal IDs and pedigrees. Molly, being 18 months old, she loves it, but it's hard to tell what avenues she's going to take like this one already has.
Right. So what are some restrictions and challenges that you've faced recently?
I'd say in agriculture, it's just the amount of money you handle. Personally, just we've expanded so much, and not a long-standing family operation here. Obviously, parents are both third-generation producers, but started on their own. It's just capital. Doing the things the opportunities that have come available is if you guys can get to the capital and make sure, obviously, it makes sense from a cash flow perspective. But through my life, I guess that's been the biggest challenge, is just keeping up with expansion with banking needs, and just making it work. It takes a lot of money, and then you just got to hope that it all can come back through.
So back on your daughters, what kind of, in a little more detail, do they do around here, and what's their future like in 4-H with livestock?
Both of them, we've already talked about. Aubrey will be eligible for 4-H next year. Playing with these bucket calves already, kind of preparing for next year. She has been doing the Clover Buds projects with local county 4-H'ers, both showing goats and hogs and then cattle as well. Our goal is to let her show her own heifer this fall at the Kansas State Fair by herself. We'll see if heifer and little girl can combat with that, but she's great. She knows what chores need to be done on a daily or morning and evening basis, and very active. I'd say one of her favorite tasks, and she's been doing this for 2 years, is artificial inseminating cows. She thinks that's the cat's meow. We actually bred one cow last night, and she loves that task.
I bred after him.
And Aubrey, what do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to help my daddy drag the gator and tag babies.
Awesome.
That's
Great.
one of your highlights too, is tagging baby calves. He loves to go tag calves. So.
Great. Well, thank you guys, and thank you for watching That's My Farm. I'm Michaela DeMott, your guest host, and stay tuned next week for the next episode of That's My Farm.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.